our experience at IPC, especially those innovative young teams. I mean, if you look at the younger companies that we talk to, and in my mind specifically, I'm talking about the Pixboom team and I'm talking about the Viltrox team, and you see these motivated young creative engineers and filmmakers in these companies with a lot of individual great ideas, you know, like, and they've really come out of the you know, this it's a different generation also in China of creators and of manufacturers, and you can feel this.
This is Focus Check, the weekly Cinetech podcast.
Welcome to episode 84 of CineD Focus Check. Johnnie, another week.
Another
IBC
week,
is long behind us.
Ooh, forgot already. Looking forward to Interview in November in Japan. How are you, Nino?
And
you
maybe
okay?
Camera Image, if I can
Maybe
go.
Camera Image. I mean, in all honesty, sometimes I feel that life is too short. There's so much to do.
Yeah. But we've been busy. So this week we'll talk about a couple of things that kept us busy this week. I think there was not so much gear news, but there were a lot of...
You know what is my frustration? There's so many things in the making that are not ready to be shared with the audience yet. And that's why...
Like?
You know, this is the Nikon, where is this now? ZR. And unlike so many that says that it's a cinema camera, I mean, you know what, wait for our verdict. But all in all, we made it a bit more cinematic in terms of usability with the small rig cage and the EVF from Kinefinity. It's simply more robust now. And I mean, I like the outfit. So the review is in the making, and hopefully by late next week, we can share something. But interesting times ahead.
Yeah, very capable camera. And it's nice that you kept it nice and small, the rig, that you just didn't bloat it up like crazy.
It makes no sense too. I mean, that's the whole idea. But we will dive into this when the review is ready and where our verdict is more firm. And yeah.
But let's just go through what we're going to talk about
You
today.
know what is crazy?
Mm-hmm.
Just quickly about this camera. If you want to record in the RAW format file that everybody's raving about, which of course is very nice, Premiere is not ready. I mean, you can't edit any of the footage. It's crazy. I'm checking every day the beta version of Adobe Premiere. Nothing.
Well, they were busy with the iPhone version.
I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just saying that thankfully in Resolve you can import the footage, the R3D files, and see the footage and so on. So it's really nice. But guys, if any of you has good contacts with Adobe, please urge them to come up with the how do you call it, the R3D.NE file that can be supported too.
Well,
anyway,
it will happen. Just go use DaVinci. You know, like that's what most people in our audience will tell you.
Yeah.
And I will tell you this. But let's just go through what we're going to talk about today. So, first of all, I'm going to mention my little written review on the Hohem iSteady V3 Ultra gimbal. That's a smartphone gimbal, and we just wanted to take a look at how far those gimbals have come, which is quite impressive, I have to say, what you can do with this little thing. We'll talk about a gear guide that you published on your go-to portable editing setup. You always try to be nice and nimble and small with your gear. And so we'll go through that. We'll talk about a little opinion piece that I wrote, a quiet protest for horizontal video, Instagram's thinnest video trend. So we jumped on this trend, and actually I posted a short clip from last week's podcast in 5120 by 1080, so super thin, ultra widescreen on Instagram. But the funny thing with Instagram is, of course, it's never really widescreen because you can only look at it vertically. So it's a thin line essentially. And for some reason this became, I mean, all of those videos, this became like a viral trend. So I decided to write a little opinion piece on how this actually is more like a protest to finally give us horizontal video to be able to turn your phone, because a lot of people unsubscribe. At least they said in the comments because of this.
Really?
So people
are ruthless.
Yeah,
huh?
they don't understand.
I don't like how you did it.
Yeah.
Okay, unsubscribe.
Moving on to, then we'll talk about OpenAI Sora 2. So after 1.5 years, they've released the second version of their generative video model, which brings much more realistic physics, audio, similar to Gemini, and also continuity. So you can have the same face in each shot, which is, a big deal. And then also launching an app. So we'll talk about the implications and what's actually possible. We'll talk about the new Sony macro 100mm f2.8 G Master, the first G Master macro in their lineup, which looks quite impressive from the images that we've seen. We'll talk about Adobe Premiere on iPhone, which is now available for free, which is the reason why you don't have your RAW
file support,
file support yet, I guess. The Zoom Instamic Pro Plus C, a compact 32-bit float recorder, and the ASC actually launching lenses, which is interesting. And so kind of Todd-AO lenses rehoused, revived.
Should we also launch our own lenses? It seems like if you don't launch lenses, you're not on the trend.
Maybe at some point. And then also just the recommended CFexpress card list from the PYXIS 12K, which is now shipping. I mean, it's really starting to ship now. We see the first people getting it.
Really?
Yes, I saw.
So, I mean, ours is also on the way. No, I mean, the one that we should get and lab test is on the way.
They told me at IBC after the interview, because some people asked us actually when it's finally shipping, and I asked that question, and they said they were literally in the factory during IBC. So the first ones, I think, started shipping last week. So that's why it took so long. And last but not least, we'll talk about a educational article by our dear writer Masha about everyday AI masking applications in post-production, like an easy, quick fix of doing video masking, which is also related to our AI video masking MZ course, which is now available. But let's start at the beginning with my Hohem iSteady review. Now, here it is. So, I mean, gimbals, like we all remember those days where
everybody used to make gimbals, and now kind of the market is a bit shrinking, but only few prominent players left.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Hohem is one of them.
There's Hohem, there's DJI. There's June, if I say the name correctly.
Zion, yeah.
And that's about it. I mean, of course, there's more than that, but it's not like it as popular as it used to be in terms of. And I think it's simply not needed, right? You don't need that many companies making gimbals. And at some point, there was also a little bit of a lack of innovation. In some, you didn't see much progress anymore. And now with much more capable smartphones, we just thought it's worth also start looking at those smartphone gimbals. And
so let me ask from the beginning, because all of those iPhones, they do have a very good stabilization system kind of built in. When you reviewed this, did you feel that actually it gives you the little extra? Or why do I need a gimbal for the iPhone?
Of course, it's like this. It's like the stabilization in IB stabilization in a camera. It has severe limits. Like the IB stabilization in a camera will stabilize you hand holding a camera,
but for walking,
not for walking and stuff. So the gimbal still makes sense. So, I mean, just to get this out of the way, stabilization in this thing is great, and especially combined, of course, with the built-in stabilization. You don't really see any shake. I mean, it's obviously you still have that fourth axis that is not stabilized. You still need to do the gimbal walk. Same thing always, unless you're using something like a Ronin 4D, of course. But in terms of, I mean, I really haven't looked at smartphone gimbals in a long time, and this is really impressive. I mean, it's very. First of all,
it's small, so compact.
It's very small and very inexpensive. I think it's like what
$169.
Yeah, it's $170. Or 190 euros, I think, here in Europe. And in terms of features, it's interesting because it simplifies so many things. So, for example, you have the feed built in. That's the thing. If you remember from a lot of DJI products, including the RS series, you always need to screw in this bottom tripod. I've forgotten this before. I've lost some of them before. This is very easy. I mean, of course, that's easier to do in a smartphone gimbal simply because the battery is smaller. Like in the bigger gimbals, like the RS gimbals, for example, the whole grip is the battery, so you can't really do this. So that you have a separate one. So for smartphone gimbals with a smaller built-in battery, because it needs less power to run the motors, you can hide those little feet in there. Now,
More innovation.
The big innovation in this gimbal here is this removable little remote. And the cool thing is, it kind of means that it has AI tracking. So first of all, you get a preview from this little device here. So there's a little AI tracking device that clips onto, I have to explain because for people who are actually listening. So there's a little AI tracking device that has a little camera and also a light built in. So it's attached to the clamp that holds the phone.
This part.
And this little camera transmits the image straight to this little remote. Now it's a tiny image, but it is big enough to actually give you enough preview for tracking. So you can tap on anything there, and not only faces and animals, like very often tracking is very limited to humans and animals. In this case, you can also track objects. Now that doesn't work as well as tracking humans in my test. So especially when something changes the shape as you walk around it, yes, it can lose it, of course, because, for example, if I would track your laptop and just go around it, you need to really make a rather large selection in order for it to understand that this is the same object. But it's doing a pretty good job, and it's kind of, they call it AI tracking because it has like a database of objects saved. So it knows what they look like from different angles. And the cool thing is this remote, because it's detachable, means that also somebody else could do this, right? And I could do it myself. Like I could use the main camera. I can use any app in the phone. I'm not limited to a manufacturer app, which sometimes is the case with those tracking things. So I can go through any app because the tracking actually works through this little module. Now there's a light built in too, so I can simply switch on a light. It's pretty strong actually. This is now a 16%. It's 100%. It's like this, and
you're blinding me.
So the light is actually pretty bright. It can go up to 100%. Is like this, and the cool thing is it's they call it tricolor. You can have really
like
neutral,
presets.
warm, or cool, 3 presets. So I guess that's 3,200, 4,400, and 5,600 Kelvin. And this is also detachable, so you can turn it around. So if you want to film yourself, for example, you can track yourself as well. So you could, for example, have this on your tabletop and then just select your face, and then, like it can just select me. And as I move around, it would follow me like this. So that's quite easy, and it's doing a pretty good job. Very easy to set up, so I can film myself doing that. I think this little remote is really what makes it unique. I haven't seen this from anybody else. I mean, there's some others that have tracking modules like this now, but this removable remote makes a big difference, and it's so instantaneous. There's no delay. You have a little joystick here as well. It kind of frees you a little bit from the grip. And, if you just want to do small, easy stuff with a smartphone gimbal, that's great.
It's magnetic because, of course, the fear, and that's the first thing that I would ask, how not to lose this.
It's magnetic. It doesn't feel like it's something that you would lose easily.
Okay.
It sticks really well. In general, I think you also shot a video with them at IBC about a bigger gimbal for a mirrorless camera, right?
Yeah, because I'm always looking for a device that I can take with me. As you said before, I always try to stay as compact as possible when I travel, and I'm kind of missing a gimbal for a mirrorless camera, a small mirrorless camera that I can take with me, that it's easy to fold and lightweight. And it's not that I can remember by heart the model, but obviously Hohem is doing quite well in catering also their mirrorless market.
Yeah.
That looks quite good. I mean, maybe soon with the iPhone 17 Pro, we can really try to put it together and maybe create some engaging videos.
The cool thing is it's very lightweight, and you can have it in black or white. We also had the white version here for some photos. It folds up quite nicely. Yeah, I mean, it's, one thing that I forgot, it's pretty cool actually. You have like a extension built in.
Oh.
So this could be a little bit longer, to be honest. I mean, sometimes you would need this a little bit longer.
That's the maximum?
That's the maximum. But it's nice to have. But the real innovation here, because we've seen this before too, for me is this.
Oh, nice.
You can angle it.
Oh, nice.
And that makes a big difference actually. So yeah, just being able to have this little joint here makes it a lot more flexible, because of course that means you can do a lot of low angles, high angles, stuff like that. It's really,
and it all looks
amazing.
like effortless in a way.
It's very effortless. And of course, I mean, because it's a smartphone, there's almost no effort in balancing it.
Okay.
Unlike like proper cameras, you always need to do proper calibration, of course, with all the 3 axes. I mean, with a phone like this, they're all kind of the same. So, a little bit back and forth, and that's it. The motors are strong enough to support this. So yeah, check out that review. It's now on CineD. Of course, link in the show notes. And again, if you have any questions, just let us know. But I think, for something that's really more targeted at creators than filmmakers, I think it's something that also filmmakers can look at for, like B-roll shots and stuff like that. I mean, it's really no-brainer kind of thing. But yeah, good. Let's move on to your gear guide, I would say.
Yeah. So sometimes we really kind of, let me start differently. Many people are asking, how do we conduct those mini documentaries? And we will come to this in the future. We will have probably an MZ course or something just to expose a bit more, because I know that people like to watch them. And actually, I think both of us are quite flattered when we hear that people are concentrating on the story itself rather on the gear. But here I wanted to tackle one thing. When you finish filming, especially when I'm out and about, it's all about how to watch the videos, how to watch what we just shot, or how to even to start to edit on the go. And I decided to write a short, or actually maybe not so short, a gear guide featuring the equipment that I take with me. And this all actually started to kind of evolve after getting the Asus. Wait, I need the model number. This is the Pro Out PA16 USV, and this is the monitor right here. I mean, this thing, it's one of those things that until you don't have it, you don't think that you need it. Yeah, and that kind of led me to start the whole thing, because this can be connected to the laptop with one cable, the USB. Of course, it comes also with a certain power box that you can power it with the main or HDMI or SDI. All good, but
it needs external power supply.
If you want to. Otherwise, one USB-C cable to your laptop and you're done. It will
really gets power from the laptop?
From the laptop, and also the video signal and everything. So literally one cable and that's it. I really like the foot here. And the picture, I mean, this is a matte screen. Some people maybe will not like it. I like it because it kind of reduces the chance for reflections. And I literally... this is editing in general is so much easier on the laptop on our 16-inch when I have this. We also gave it to Jeff, our editor during IBC, to work with, and he also really loved it. Of course, there are some things that you need to consider when using that specific monitor, especially when it comes to the ICC picture profiles. You really need to download, let the Mac know with what monitor you're working in order to get the best out of it.
But is this a field monitor or like an editing monitor, like a computer monitor?
No, it's like a all-in-one monitor. I mean, I would not use it for crucial grading, for example, but for some grading, you know what, just between us, nobody's listening, nobody's watching. I always get flattered when I see my footage here. It seems so cinematic. It's like, what, did I shoot it? Somehow it has the tendency to show things nice, but that's just a kind of internal joke.
It's a 10-bit thing, or?
I can't remember. I think it's a 10-bit thing. It's a 4K UHD a 10-bit. It also have the 12G SDI monitor connector here if you need. So
SDI is nice. I mean, it's very unusual in a monitor.
Yeah, and
of this size.
it's a bit expensive. It's $999 at B&H, so you have to consider these two. But I think, and of course there are cheaper options, but Asus is a reputable company, and that's what brought me to write this gear guide. And again, I think DITs would love it. It weighs literally nothing, so it's very easy to throw in the bag, and connecting it to the laptop, it was just a breeze. So of course this thing brought me to write the gear guide to start with it, and then of course we all know the MacBook Pro. This is a 16-inch that I'm using. This is an older one. It's an M2. Then there was the M2. This is the M2 Pro, and then M2 Pro Max. Sorry, and then there was the M3 Max, and of course now there is the M4 Max. They're not so cheap, of course, the new ones, but still, I think we feel like the complete freedom to edit on those. One thing to consider when you're buying any of those Macs, at least for me, is to make sure that the RAM and the internal SSD is big enough for editing. That's why I chose 2 terabyte SSDs. So it's easy for me to either transfer stuff or edit. But all in all, I'm not a Windows person for many years, and maybe there are some Windows equivalent. But
I mean, the RAM is not as important as it used to be, because of course you still have the alternative RAM on your SSD, but it makes a difference if you work with very large video files like raw video in DaVinci and so on. But in general, I think we're still both very happy, right? I think I don't even, I mean, the M2 Max is fine for everything we do, and I think the M3 wasn't such a big jump. The M4 is a bigger jump again. Yeah. So let's see in the future now with all the cameras, of course, producing larger and larger files, that's kind of insane, right? You have very inexpensive cameras now producing very high bitrate video, like the Nikon ZR is a good example. I mean, it's, what is it, 23 minutes on a 1 terabyte card if you shoot...
I can't remember by heart because cameras are going in and out. But yeah, I mean, it's a quality or raw quality equals capacity. That's always the case.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. But we are still with the M2 Max. We are happy with it, and maybe in the future we will replace it. But the other thing is in my go-to editing, watching videos, this is from Angelbird. This is the
performance card reader.
CFexpress Type B performance reader. That's how they call it. This little thing comes with a little vent inside, which sometimes kicks in just in order to reduce the heat. It also comes with, I have to say, the cable itself obviously working very well to transfer the data very fast. And couple this with the Angelbird. We are using the 2 terabyte here. This is a V4. That's the newest version of the CFexpress Type B cards, so it's easy to transfer the footage very, very easy between the Mac and the card itself. The good thing about that setup that you can literally, of course, after backing it up, you can work from the reader, from the card itself.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we talked about my video review on this before, for a very long time, so I don't need. Yeah, we're
not going to repeat it. I'm just saying that in order to keep the overall footprint when you're running around, the laptop, the little monitor, and that thing together really makes it very easy. Now, of course, you have to pack it all, and I'm using, it's a bag from Matador. I don't know if any of you, maybe some of you know the company. Somehow they do make a lot of stuff for filmmakers and photographers, but I don't know, I haven't seen so many people running with their bags. My first encounter with the bag was actually in one of the flights many years ago, when they had this kind of very small mini bag, like that you take it out of the pouch and then it becomes a bag, and it was rather expensive. I was like, oh wow, but it really fulfilled the claim that so many things I could put inside. I'm talking about in the past, and it was nice to have something very, very small in my bag, So if the airline asks me to move some stuff, it's easy just to move some stuff to kind of a collapsible bag. This is the SEG 35. I don't think they make it anymore, but they have the 45 and they have some new line. Just check the Matador homepage. Their bags are phenomenal, and I can really put in this bag like there's a back compartment. I can put the monitor and the laptop very easy, and when I open the bag, I can really pack inside everything that I need for 3 days, including the running shoes. Very easy. So I would really recommend you guys just to look at it, and maybe this is something that you will find also that can work for you. So all in all, when I'm on the way and I need to move from one place to another, it's the bag, it's the this laptop from Apple. We have the monitor from Asus and from Bird. This is the performance card reader, and of course then the camera. But I didn't write the camera here because the cameras are coming and going, and this is more for the editing part.
The bag is not padded, right? It's like...
No, I kind of moved away from padded bags. Of course, I have a proper trolley, stroller, whatever, to moving from more like a storage compartment from A to B, but...
you can make it smaller if it's not padded.
I can make it smaller, and I can really, airlines don't like to see big bags those days. So because it's not padded, it's helping me to reduce the overall look of it. And here's a little tip, if I need to protect, let's say my camera inside this bag, I'm just using, a few years ago, I had some issues with my knees. So I bought this kind of knee sock. Don't know how to call it, just to kind of grip the knee together, and that proved to be one of the best things I ever bought, and it's much cheaper than dedicated protector. I just put the camera inside this knee protector, and it's perfect.
One thing we should probably look at is also those these little folding things that are made to protect gear that are kind of sticking together.
That's right. We have a few of those here, and it's working very well. I mean, you can have those also put in the bag. So it really depends. Sometimes on my shoulders, I really prefer not to have a full padded bag. It's sometimes too big. It attracts the attention of the airlines. And
it doesn't get smaller when it's empty, right? It's always big.
Exactly. Yeah. And here, I never had any issue, and I can literally move some stuff from my trolley. If it's too heavy for the airlines, I just put it in my unpadded bag, and I can move on, and never had an issue.
Cool. Yeah. So check out that gear guide. Very extensive. I like the setup. Maybe I should try one of those bags as well, because I'm still running with my Peak Design bag, but it's nice, but it has its limits because it's not very flexible. You can't put more if they're kind of rigid. Yeah.
We always want to pad stuff. And I understand, of course, that's correct. But sometimes it's on the expense of mobility and also visibility, because those airlines don't like us.
Well, I have my laptop in a sleeve and that sleeve inside the backpack. Maybe it's too much.
Yeah.
All right. So check out that gear guide, and also, of course, with all the links. I mean, our gear guides at the bottom have links to the shops actually, to show you where to get it, and each one of those products is explained again when you click on it in terms of key features and so on.
And if you want to comment or you want to share your own experience with moving things around, especially when you want to watch material or edit, please, here in YouTube, leave a comment. Hopefully we can, in our gear guides in the future, we will also have the place to leave comments.
Okay, let's move on to something that I actually didn't mention in the beginning. Now, there were a couple of news last week that two small companies from the industry are closing shop, which kind of brought us to write an article on what's happening in the industry. Specifically, we're talking about Transvideo, the monitor company, and PAG. So Transvideo is a French company, or was a French company, and PAG a British company. Yeah. And they're both shutting down. So the reasons they're giving is basically PAG is saying that the competition from the market in terms of especially cheap imports, which is probably referring to especially, Chinese companies that are really, really putting a lot of pressure on the battery market in terms of, affordable batteries. They say they don't have any debts. the family decided to close the business because it's not making sense anymore. And Transvideo, in a similar way, also shutting down. Of course, Transvideo has always been a company that does more expensive monitors. They were quite expensive, actually, had a good reputation for lasting for a very long time. I would probably say the design didn't look like it's very modern in a sense, like their housing of their monitors looked a little bit dated, I would say, but they had very, very good, ACs like them. They really like those monitors for a very long time. And I know ACs that have been using the same monitor for, 15 years or whatever. So yeah, what does that mean? What does it mean for the industry? And it's two European companies closing shop because of basically, the pressure from Asian manufacturing. And also I mentioned in the same vein that the Joby brand was actually sold by Videndum to another company because they, are a little bit strapped for cash too right now. If you look at the stock market, so yeah, it's a tough time for a lot of Western companies in this industry with the current economic climate and especially the state of our industry. What do you think?
First of all, it's always very sad to see companies closing. That's one thing. On the other hand, and I can say this in a very clear, direct, transparent way, we know so many of the owners. We talk to many companies directly. And some of the things that we see that those companies are, and I'm not referring specifically to PUG or Transvideo, but in general, many of the companies' owners are very square, are very slow to take decisions, still living in the old days, not fully understanding that the days, what used to be, will never repeat again. Right now, we're living in a very fast-paced market. Things are changing very fast, and you have to take it as an axioma. Like, it's Chinese companies are here to stay. They're not copying, they're innovating, and their prices are very competitive. That should be the rule number one. And from that point onward is to think backward. How do I innovate? How do I come up with products that the market haven't seen before? How do I protect those products that I want to manufacture? And that's one of the things that we are lacking to see. We don't see so much innovation anymore from Western companies.
Well, yes, but the thing is, I think a lot of those companies specialized in high end, and especially.
But this is gone.
The high end, exactly. The high end
gone.
is under pressure, and for companies like these two, which really were more like high priced items, it's very hard to compete to. Especially those companies that are coming out with, they do more iterations of new batteries in a much shorter amount of time. And for example, PAG, I think they were the first, I looked in our archive, I think they were the first company that we reported about that did these stackable batteries. We did a video in 2020 about them
I think
at IBC.
Also the very small batteries, they're one of the first
exactly,
ones to
the
come
small
up with
ones. That was later, I think, but
Yeah.
then the stackable ones. And then we had other companies come out with the same concept. And of course, I mean, it's a battery, like it's not, it's very hard, I think, there's actually been remarkable innovation in batteries over the last few years, but I think it's very hard to motivate people to upgrade their batteries. Like if it works, it works. And after some years, it will break and then you buy the next best thing. And if the price difference is too big, you might just go for the cheaper option.
I will always advocate any manufacturer to think when you are designing a product, make it to answer at least two needs, not one. It's easy to say battery is just a battery, but if a battery can do more than one thing, we can see now that every battery can power more stuff. For example, the connectors, that's really, really great. It used to be very simple, straightforward, and now we have from USB-C, D-Tab, other stuff too. But I'm just saying, if you can come up with any thinking, what else a battery can do in order to cater the needs of a filmmaker, you are granted a success here because nobody else did it before. And I'm saying this not because it's easy to talk, and I'm not only talking about batteries. We're also in this market of thinking about products and so on. Any product that can do more than one thing that it was intended originally to do will have a success. And that's what I'm seeing, that there is not so much thinking behind anymore. And it's a pity, of course, to see that the companies are kind of giving up, at least in the PUG. When you said there are no depths, that's very, very good. But I really hope, and we know the attitude of some companies, and I'm sorry, I don't want to point fingers, but we've been in those discussions many times before, and you see how conservative some of the companies are, and they prefer to stick to what they know rather than innovate and understand that that's a new world now.
I think it's one of the things that a lot of Chinese companies that are not so old do right is just really this community building. I mean, they really managed to make global brands in our niche of filmmaking. I mean, nobody knows those companies outside of filmmaking in a way, but in our niche, they're huge brands now. If you look at Aperture, Nanlite, Small Rig, a lot of others, Tilta, they're really renowned now, actually, and also for innovation. And that is something that a lot of those companies, of course, they're much smaller, weren't able to do. On the other hand, they have been also producing their stuff in Asia for a long time, right? So it's not like you can even say, well, this has been made somewhere else or whatever. It's kind of the same manufacturing, right? And that is very often, especially with Western companies, I'm not talking about those two, but bigger ones, we see this huge organizational overhead that is kind of slowing decisions, because you said, like you said at the beginning, it's like they need to move faster. And I think very often it comes down to the fact that you don't have creative people at the helm at a lot of those older companies now. And if things are run by, the people who are looking at spreadsheets, that's difficult. And again, I'm not talking about those because they were small businesses, and I think they were actually run by people who are more creative, but they're giving up because of the market dynamics. But in general, I think if we look at the bigger ones who are in trouble, I think in many cases, and it doesn't matter if we're talking about, like apparently Ari is up for sale. We talked about this before. Videndum is under pressure, selling Joby and so on. But those two companies are a good example for, maybe that the leaders are out of touch with the filmmakers, not the people who are working for them. So
I don't want even to talk about Videndum right now, because if I will talk about Videndum, it will not end good. I'm serious. Videndum is such a good example. So many great people in this company, really, people that we know personally, and people that have shown the door to leave just because they try to do their best. Yeah, whoever is leading this company now is probably only dealing and caring about spreadsheets, instead of thinking how to innovate. But anyway, that's a different thing. 2 days ago, we got from DZO Film a set of lenses, the Vespid 2. You and Florian, what was the first thing that you said when you saw the amazing
packaging?
Amazing packaging.
Yeah.
Like the company not only innovate and try to do their best optically speaking, and also pricing wise, but it all starts with the experience, exactly like Apple does. You get the packaging, you see how they care about it. Small Rig, the
cage for the ZR.
This cage for the ZR came all wrapped, all components, everything is wrapped in paper, no more plastic, which shows also the company really, really cares about the environment, and they try to do something different. So, and I'm sorry if I have a full stomach about this. We've been in this. Okay, now it's back. We've been in this for too long, and it just sometimes really upsets me, unfortunately. And I'm sorry about this when I see the big companies that sit on their Olympus thinking that they know everything, instead of just try to really solve issues, not by cutting the people and let them go, but just to produce things which are innovative, better, competitive, and then see how things are going for them.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about before, I think 2 weeks ago, after our experience at IBC, especially those innovative young teams. I mean, if you look at the younger companies that we talk to, and in my mind specifically, I'm talking about the Pixboom team, and I'm talking about the Viltrox team, and you see these motivated young creative engineers and filmmakers in these companies with a lot of individual great ideas, like, and they've really come out of the this it's a different generation also in China of creators and of manufacturers, and you can feel this in the companies. So I think everybody just needs to leave around. The history doesn't save you anymore. I think that is the bottom line. Like a big name in the industry, or what still is or used to be a big name might not save you if it's a brand name, because I think filmmakers now in this day and age and creators are very easy to jump to a different brand if the quality is right, if the innovation is right,
and the price is right.
And if the price is right, of course, there is still some brand awareness, but the brand alone will not save you. It's basically, and we see this, we see this with a lot of things where companies that were nowhere 5 years ago are now very big, and others that were very big are now in trouble. And it's just I think it's probably a cleansing moment in the industry, in a sense that, the ones that will be left at the end are the ones that do the job right, as always. But I just hope that, because we know a lot of the people behind the companies that are great people, they have amazing staff, but very often the decisions made at the top are not in line with what those people would do if they were in charge. And that's unfortunate. Yeah.
And those companies still have the facilities. They still have the money and
the people
and the people. Although again, in Videndum's case,
if they leave,
so many good people are left. But
all right.
Okay.
But that's basically. We're interested in your opinion, because of course I think since we've started CineD, which used to be called Cinema 5D before, we've been doing this for 16, 17 years now, and right now I think this is the biggest shift in time that we see. So there's a lot of things changing in the industry, and I think in like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, the market will look very different, because the demands are different. But we'll see how everybody adjusts.
I wish that we had this little component here, especially when after visiting IBC, we heard from so many knowledgeable people that in 3 years' time, IBC and any of those big exhibitions will simply look different.
Yeah, I mean, they keep looking different all the time. But in general, the question is, I'm not talking about the exhibitions. That's always like that's our little bubble there.
But it's a reflection of what's to come. If you see Nunlight replacing the main stage, the biggest hall for production where Ari used to be, that's a sign of time. It's a big thing.
Yeah, that's true. All right, let's move on to... Oh, actually, another little piece on the protest. So if you're on Instagram, you might have seen that over the last few weeks, suddenly you see very thin videos in Reels sometimes. So in your feed, there might be either the feed or the Reels feed. You will see those very, very thin videos, almost like super wide anamorphic. And apparently, this all comes from the fact that now Instagram is allowing wider aspect ratios for videos than 16:9. 16:9 used to be the widest aspect ratio allowed. It is still the widest aspect ratio for photos. So we know, because as soon as you try to post something wider than that for photos, it will not actually show up. For videos, it works. And I think the widest you can do is 5,120 by 1080. Forgive my math, I can't tell you off the top of my head what the actual aspect ratio is, but it's very wide. And of course, it's a bit ridiculous, because it will look like this. You will see a full screen, and
maybe you want to describe for those who are only listening to us.
Basically, it's like a black screen, and then you have a very thin video running in the middle. And the problem, of course, with Instagram is that you can't turn your phone for example, unlike the YouTube app, which you can just turn and then you have a full screen video running, which would of course use the horizontal real estate of your phone, you cannot do that on Instagram. And they haven't been wanting to do this for a very long time. Now, I decided to write an article because we posted one of those videos just for fun from last week's podcast. I posted a little, let me just open this here on Instagram for desktop. So I posted a little video like that, and we got so many people. I mean, not everybody, but a lot of
upset people.
People got upset for jumping on this trend, and I just meant it as a little bit of fun, to post it like that. I mean, it's ridiculous. But my point was, I saw this as a protest. I saw it as a protest of people, filmmakers like us, who want to see not even the super widescreen, but even 16:9 or whatever, filling the screen of your phone. You have the real estate, right? All they need to do is just enable and program their app to actually support horizontal video. Turn it and then show it. They had it before. There was an app called IGTV, Instagram TV. That was before the Reels kind of became big. In 2019, this came out. It was a separate app by Instagram that was in the market. You could just download it, and they were just trying to do the same thing. And you could turn your phone. And then they discontinued it and kind of rolled all the features, all the Reels features into the main app.
I'm not an Instagram animal at all. You are. Do you have any idea why this limitation? I mean, it's just laziness, or there's a business,
I think
not awareness, or why those programmers behind Instagram not allowing this?
I think they were quite, I don't know, I can just assume. I think they were quite happy with the fact that basically because of Snapchat, TikTok, and Instagram, vertical videos became a thing. Now we see a lot of people even shooting vertical. So I guess they were kind of happy in this realm, because you see that the videos that are made for vertical were usually really made for Instagram and TikTok. So,
by the way, TikTok allows this horizontal?
No.
Also not?
No.
Okay.
I think in terms of programming, it's not so easy, because of course, as soon as you do this, the comment section is much less prominent, because if you know it from YouTube, right? If you watch a video like horizontally, the comment section has to disappear, and you either see one or the other. You can't do both. And I guess it's all about the engagement. So, but I don't understand, because if you did allow horizontal video, I think you would actually motivate people to spend even more time on the app, like YouTube does, because then you would have a tendency to watch longer videos there. But maybe they don't want to be YouTube, which I also understand, So it's kind of. But on the other hand, like, why do you allow something like this and then not allow people, like, upload it, but then not allow people to turn your phone to actually watch it in a proper resolution? So it doesn't make any. Yeah. So what I wrote is like, modern platforms should respect horizontal storytelling without burying it, because that's what they're doing, right? It's basically burying anything. And this horizontal video is really tolerated but not celebrated. That's what I mean, there is the head of Instagram, Adam Mosseri, is constantly doing like Q&A sessions. So he's answering people's questions, and they were asking him about why this whole trend happened. And basically he said, well, they didn't expect it. They allowed wider videos. I don't think they didn't even think about, like, people would want to turn their phones or whatever in this case, but now it makes it apparent, this lack of engagement, like, with the community, in a sense of allowing this. And I think that could just make the whole platform much more usable. Like, imagine just not having to think about it anymore.
Yeah.
You upload a widescreen video when the content needs it. You upload a vertical video when the content needs it. More people, of course. I mean, if you upload a vertical video, more people will watch it, simply because, I mean, in general, because it's just filling your entire screen. Yeah. I
guess bottom line, it's all about money. Meaning, if they will lose or gain more money, because that's.
I don't know. It's I mean, you can run ads. Of course, it makes the whole ad thing more complicated, because you would have to also have horizontal ads, I guess, if you turn it horizontally, because if you show vertical ads in that feed, I think it might make things more complicated. But
Yeah, if they will find out that they can make more money with vertical videos,
but
horizontal videos, eventually they will go for it.
I don't know. It's I understand that there's a complication around it, and but the reason why we have vertical videos is not because, you know, like our eyes are not on top of each other. Our eyes are next to each other. There's a reason why we have cinema widescreen. You know, like I'm not looking at like cinema like this, and you know. But the reason why we have vertical videos is just because we hold those stupid phones like this. That's the only reason. And just give us a chance. Just give us widescreen video in Instagram. Can't be that hard. Anyway, that opinion piece is now on the site. Check it out, and I would love to hear your comments actually on this, because it just is annoying. Good. Moving on to something else software related. OpenAI.
Not less annoying, in a way.
I don't know. Maybe. OpenAI, after 1.5 years after introducing Sora, their generative video model, the first one, they announced Sora 2. And now, just like Google, they have audio, so it also generates audio with it. They have much more realistic physics, and they also bring continuity to AI videos. So you can now have characters easily in multiple shots. So I'm just showing this demo video here that they released, which is, of course, impressive, because everything that they show here is generated with prompts. Even Sam Altman, the CEO, which used this new cameo function. So I think you have to upload like a little video of yourself probably with your phone, and then it will learn what you look like, and you can put yourself in all kinds of different situations automatically. So you can just say, well, I want to play polo on the moon. I want to be, I don't know, in a dance scene or whatever. The physics look much better, of course. I think it's now, much closer, or maybe on par with VO3 from Google, which, of course, has right now the highest sense of realism of those generative videos. Also, I'm not playing it back here, but now you have sound, so it also generates sounds with it. The sound still, it's kind of sounds real, but you know, it of course misses some depth, I guess.
I would not even bother to talk about the features of this one. You know why? Because in a year from now, the next version will be even much better. So I think we just have to remember it's here to stay. It will get better.
Yeah.
And much, much, much better, to the point that we will not be able to distinguish at all between real stuff and AI stuff. And I also hope that we as a society will stop blaming AI, because you can't blame AI. You can only, if at all, blame the people behind it. So I think we should just try to talk more directly to the people behind it, and first of all make sure that we are protected in some ways, although I'm not so sure about it. And here in this specific case, what is more alerting for me, that a whole new community, a social community, is being pushed now around this, and people will be encouraged to upload up to 10 seconds videos, but that means also that, of course, if they want to see themselves talking, they have to upload photos of themselves.
Yeah, let me explain.
Yeah.
They are also introducing a new app, the Sora app. So it's already available for download on the Apple App Store. Right now, it's an invite-only app, so you can't just use it. I think it's the compute limitations that usually come along with new OpenAI models. In a couple of weeks from now, probably everybody can use it, but it's only limited to the US and Canada right now. And this app, like you said, is a kind of Instagram for AI-generated videos with Sora. You can... they talk about safety and how, because of this cameo feature, you can put yourself in all kinds of videos. Of course, there needs to be a limitation of who you will put in because if there's no limitation, you could kind of make fake videos about everybody in different scenarios. So I don't know exactly how it works yet. Maybe it's with ID verification or whatever, but it supposedly only works with yourself. So you can kind of upload a video of yourself and then put yourself in other videos. I don't know how they will limit it, so you don't just use anybody for that. And yeah, there's like a whole feed with comments and everything, like we know from Instagram, of those videos that is now out. And yeah, so let's see where this leads. I mean, the good thing about this can be that maybe this limits it somewhat to that app, you know, that you at least know that if you see a video in that app, it's for sure fake. That's fine. But of course, you cannot prevent this from going out and, you know, just ending up on Instagram, TikTok, or wherever, and then people think it's real if it's not marked. I mean, look at this. This is an AI-generated skate video that, I mean, you wouldn't even know that this is not real. Or this one. This shows you the consistency between characters, between multiple shots. Nothing here is real. Again,
you know what is a bit upsetting when I see those videos? The light is always so perfect. Something we work so hard in order to lit up a person or shoot at a certain time. And in those videos, of course, the light is always really perfect.
Like a horse on top of a horse. Looks realistic now. But yeah, I mean, we are actually, when you see this, listen to this, we might already have launched our first generative video AI course. And we took great care to talk about ethical AI. I mean, it's made by Drew Shirazi. That's the DP behind, for example, the intro of House of Cards. He also worked on West Side Story for Steven Spielberg and so on. And he really dived into generative video over the last year or so. And we collaborated with him on a new MZ course because he, as a shooter, is working with his own footage and videos and photos on generative video. So he's basically using his own photos to generate videos from, and you know, his own videos to extend them basically. And this is a very, very creative use of AI based on your own work. So it's extending your creativity rather than replacing it, which is great. So he's talking from experience because he's already constantly doing projects for clients that are combining, and for them he's combining actual footage that he shot and actual photos that he shot with generative AI, and he does so in a very innovative way, and it shows in this course. And this course, it's gonna be updated frequently. He's gonna look at new models. So if you are a subscriber to the MZ platform, you will almost on a monthly basis will push new lessons that are looking at those new models and how to integrate them. Because right now, I mean, there's so much stuff out there. It's very hard to keep track of, and that's our goal, to really focus people on how to work with it. But we'll talk more about that next week.
Okay, but he's a great example of somebody, instead of shouting, giving up, cursing or whatever, stopped for a second, looked at the new tools, and kind of try to figure out how to make the best out of those tools in order to benefit by learning, by mastering them. And I think that's just very nice, because obviously now he's in a position to earn money, even more money, I would say, than before, because, as you said, he's using AI as an extended arm of what he's doing anyway. So nice.
I mean, as many others, he told me, you know, the industry's under pressure. He's felt the pressure. He had a lot of, I mean, he's working on a couple feature films right now, but he has had jobs canceled for different reasons, and one of them was AI. And then that's when he decided, well, I need to dive into this. I need to learn it in order to enhance my vision. And I think he's doing a great job. I mean, he's known for great visuals, you know, like especially those time-lapse things and so on. So yeah, in the course, he's showing very good examples of multiple photo shoots that he did, and then how he worked with those images and made them into so much more than they could have been, and not taking away from that realism. So yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about it hopefully next week.
Yes. All right. Let's move on to some more hardware news. So Sony just introduced a new macro lens. Everybody has been waiting for Sony to release new stuff. Unfortunately, we're not getting the new cameras that we wanted. But yeah, there's a 100mm macro in the G Master series, and apparently there was a big gap there. I think it's the first macro in the G Master series, It's 100 mil. It has a 1.4 times magnification. So far, people who have been using a macro from Sony have mostly been using the 90 mil. I think that was the only,
which was not a G Master, I think.
I don't think so, and it's I think was the only E-mount full frame available. Now this one, I watched the press presentation. The images are really impressive. I mean, you often have, of course, very great images that they show, but in a sense that, you know, we all know what's really hard with autofocus lens, with macro lenses, is focusing
and stabilization,
and they go hand in hand, kind of. And this one, what's innovative here, has a Z-axis compensation. So even that extra shake that you introduce, that can be compensated inside the lens. The autofocus works quite well in terms of tracking, and also they were very big on emphasizing switching, because usually you switch on the autofocus, it locks on something, and then you want to fine tune it, so you switch to manual focus, right? And a lot of lenses kind of don't do that properly. This lens was really designed for that. So you kind of lock on your autofocus, you switch to manual focus, and then you can fine tune quite easily without the focus jumping around.
It will also work with teleconverters from Sony.
Exactly. They have two teleconverters, I think a 1.4 and a 1 time, I'm not sure. But this one, it's basically you get up to 2.8 times magnification if you use the 1.4 times magnification on this 1.4 times macro lens. So yeah,
and looking at the specifications, it looks like it's really not a heavy lens. I mean, it's 650 grams, but for what it does with the IBIS and everything. I mean,
I have to really say I probably didn't embed enough images here that were shot with the lens. It is a very impressive look. I mean, the footage you get out of this, or photos you get out of this, really impressed me, and I can show some here. It's definitely, you know, you can make some very artistic images with this. The bokeh looks nice. I think it's 11 blades, and it's. I think it makes sense to buy this as a native lens, to be honest, because you want the autofocus essentially, unless because very often, of course, I mean, I often use the Canon 100mm EF macro lens with an EFE adapter on a Sony camera, but of course you lose the autofocus, and the autofocus, if it works nicely, is very useful, especially because you very often film insects and fast moving stuff in macro. So it's quite useful to have that, of course. And the stabilization is extremely, extremely important, of course. So yeah.
It looks like a trend now. I mean, also Laowa, I think we featured them during IBC when they came up with the 200mm f2 autofocus macro lens. So it looks like a little trend, looking at the small stuff.
Yeah.
Next to the slow motion. I mean, this is the things that we are seeing a lot now. Cameras that can shoot high frame rate and lenses that can really like macro lenses. Nice.
Yeah, I wish it was a 2x macro, to be honest, because I don't quite understand why. I think it's probably down to the stabilization, to be able to stabilize more, but because you can use the extender, it's not such a big deal.
Okay.
I think that's what was the thought behind it. And I mean, they're showing really good examples here. Yeah, beautiful images. And the lens is, I think, also price-wise, $1,500. And I think it's shipping in November.
Okay.
Good. Let's move on to another piece of software news. That's Adobe Premiere on iPhone.
And this is for free?
Yeah. So I wrote about this already beginning of September when they kind of teased it. Now it's out. You can download it for free. Now the big thing here is they're discontinuing Rush. It's over.
Okay.
And I think it makes sense because now you kind of move into Premiere, and it makes sense because you can start a project on Premiere. That's the big news for me here, and on the iPhone, and then you can move it over to the desktop. So you can just start editing if you shoot something on your phone, something quick and easy, and then at some point you decide to move it over to the desktop. That's possible now. You can't send it back. Yeah, it's the same as with Final Cut Pro for iPad. You know, you can start on the iPad and go to the Mac, but you can't go back. And I understand why, because of course the desktop versions have a lot more features, so you would lose a lot. But yeah, I think they're putting all their AI stuff in it. So you have the AI audio cleaner. So kind of like, you know, the clean audio that Adobe did quite well is now built in. You can have a multi-track timeline, even 4K HDR. HDR being a big thing, of course, on phones, because if you shoot on phones, it's usually HDR. You can natively edit that.
But just a quick, simple question. Do you see yourself editing video on mobile phones?
Not
to start
necessarily.
with, because so much effort I'm sure went into developing this.
Well, I'll tell you what, I recently edited 2 reels on our channel on edits, on the Instagram edits app, which is extremely powerful as well.
Right.
I mean, you can see that all those companies are now really running after CapCut, because CapCut was really the first one where it has such a capable iOS and I guess also Android editing app. We have now Instagram edits, which is also very good. I mean, it's the same thing, right? You have multi-track editing, you can have titles. It's a bit fiddly, of course, on the phone, but if you need to do something quick and easy, it's possible now. Now you have Premiere. It's interesting how also in this field we are looking more. Everybody's taking the phone much more seriously as an editing device.
It's kind of integrated into the workflow.
But think about this. I mean, they are working still on the Android version. Now, we've talked about cameras before that are running on Android, and we don't have any one in the market right now. I think we've saw the Zeiss camera a couple of years ago. Yeah, just have, you know, like if you like what Axon is doing with the monitors now, running Android on their CineView M7 monitors. Why not have cameras run on Android and have Premiere built in?
I'm sorry, I don't share this vision. I when I saw that Zeiss camera many years ago, I thought it's a flop.
Don't think about yourself about this, but I'm talking about social media creators that we want to shoot on a better phone. They are constantly editing on phones. Constantly and CapCut, you see, it's by far the biggest editing platform in the world.
You want people to edit on their cameras?
I don't want them. It's happening. I don't. People are already editing on their phones more than anything
on the
else.
camera. You're talking now about a camera, like a dedicated.
It's just
mirrors.
about quick content. You know, like if people are shooting something and it needs to go out immediately at events, whatever. I think a lot of people would want that. If you have a screen like 4-inch, like in this Nikon camera, you could do it.
I would choose a different path. I would choose a path where I can record on camera. I can fetch the footage as fast as possible on my mobile phone, which is possible. Edit on the mobile, and then upload from the mobile, because
the mobile.
No, it's not the same thing. If I need to start, because the software or the apps for editing already existing, and if I need to start now to develop stuff for cameras. We know that always takes a lot of time and not very successful.
That's why you wouldn't have to develop it. If your camera would run on Android, you don't need to develop it. Like Axon is benefiting now from the fact that you can just simply run the Sony monitor control app on their monitor as an additional app.
But then you will need also probably some kind of eSIM or whatever. Because then
it's just Wi-Fi.
But let's say you just finished to edit.
Yeah, Wi-Fi upload.
But you don't have Wi-Fi everywhere, and
you
your mobile phone. But again, so you have the phone. If you have the phone, work on the phone. But anyway, it's a different way of looking at the same stuff.
Well, of course, what's important is the interoperability. You shouldn't be limited to one device. But and I guess I don't know if this is integrated with the Creative Cloud. So in theory, you could have that project anywhere, right? So as soon as you start, you can continue on the phone. You can go to the desktop. And finish it there. I think it's a sign of things to come. And you can see that they put a lot of effort into this because it is very capable. So, yeah. But it's interesting that this continuing rush, which I think makes sense because it's, it was just a different platform. And now everything it's called Premiere, but of course it doesn't have the full features of the actual Premiere on desktop. But just having the ability to send it to desktop is great. Yeah. So, and I mean, I did add a quick take on for professional editors. So basically, for me, this is about behind the scenes, shooting behind the scenes, client review cuts that you can quickly do on the phone. I mean, it's even for demo stuff, right? You can already shoot some stuff that you later want to shoot with proper camera equipment and then do a preview edit on your phone. And there's a lot of possibilities here. And I think a lot of people will use this that we don't even have on the radar. So, yeah. Good. Let's move on to Zoom Instamic Pro Plus C. What is that? It looks like a case for AirPods.
Yeah, so first of all, we all know Zoom. It's a Japanese company, and apparently they acquired this month Instamic, which is an interesting development because we've seen already before. We talked about Videndum, for example. What was it, 2 or 3 years ago? They also acquired a company that deals with audio. I have no clue what ended up with this, but obviously Zoom took the initiative. And they found something in Instamic to, they looked at what products they don't have, and obviously Instamic did answer that specific niche, which means it's a mic, but it's also a recorder, 32-bit float, very compact, waterproof, and with time code, and all at $180. So. And you have 2 versions. One is mono, and the other one is mono stereo. And quite nice to see. I mean, I really wonder. In all honesty, I never heard of Instamic before, but obviously there are some loyal customers for that company. It's an American company. Plus, they have some presence here in Europe, especially in Sweden. But the nice thing here, that especially if you deal with timecode, it will work with Atomos, Tentacle Sync, and so on.
So
and
it's like the Sync E, or it's a recorder.
It's a recorder, but there's like 4 built-in microphone into it. Specific ones. I mean, in the article, I dive a bit more into the microphones.
But it's a lav for lav connections.
No, you can't connect a lav. The mic is, or the 4 mics are built in.
Okay.
I have to say that the demo that I saw is quite convincing about how clear the sound is. But this is, of course, something to try.
So it's more like a field recorder.
It's a field recorder, and here in that specific case, with the 32-bit float and the 4 microphones built in, the quality is quite good. So maybe you can't really. And you know what? You know what is the biggest plus? And I'm sorry, I'm a bit cynical here. There's no big logo on the microphone recorder itself.
But it's supposed to be on your...
Yeah, you put it here.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, you put it here, and the microphone that they have built inside. I mean, I can go into the technical terms here, what they do, but those are micro, electro, kind of, omnidirectional microphones and a certain frequency and so on. But...
okay, so you can get time code.
Yeah.
From Atomos and Tentacle Sync systems. Interesting.
That's right. And it comes with a built-in 16 gigs of internal storage, providing approximately 22 hours of recording. Yeah, again, this market is very crowded. I think it's nice. That was a single owner company. So it's nice to see that Zoom acknowledged him and what he does, and obviously found a way to incorporate his company into the bigger organization.
It's funny, only when I see the video I realize how small it is, because it's like I thought it was much bigger.
That's one of the issues. I mean, also when I kind of worked on the featured image, how do you actually demonstrate that this is so small? Not that we haven't seen small stuff before,
yeah,
but it's really very small, very straightforward. And I think also in the article I have a link for the story of the acquisition itself. And I think it's quite interesting to see. I'm happy when bigger companies are noticing smaller ones and the products they make.
So you can really go swimming with it. It's waterproof. Okay,
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's one of the selling points.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I think we'll embed this video in the article as well. And good. Let's move on to some lens news. So the ASC unveiled some lenses, which is interesting. The American Society of Cinematographers he unveiled the Todd-AO lenses. Now, what is that? The Todd-AO format was developed in the 1950s, and it was considered at the time, I honestly didn't know of it, to be honest, before that, but I read up on Wikipedia. It was considered a breakthrough in widescreen filmmaking, and it was kind of a single camera alternative to Cinerama, which, like it was really emphasizing high resolution and immersive visual. So, all of that, at that time, they were really about widescreen and different formats for widescreen, CinemaScope and so on also. And now they apparently discovered a bunch of vintage lenses that they decided to rehouse and refurbish together with Shelby Johnson, who used to be the ASC president, who is now a normal member. And it's a classic optic with contemporary nuance. And Greg Fraser, ASC, was among the first ones to test it. And he said, beautiful natural fall off. They just like the beautiful subtle look. And I think they just fell in love with the look and decided to rehouse them and make them available through rental. So I'm not quite... they worked with Caslo camera and Zero Optics on the whole project. Now, from the whole press release, it wasn't clear to me how many of those sets they have. If it's just really the one set that is now kind of rotating through rental houses in LA. But it seems like it. And this one set is now available right now through Caslo camera, and you can check it out there. But yeah, it's interesting. It's marketed. It really put an ASC logo on the lenses. So I guess it was a passion project that they fell in love with the look and just decided to market on the ASC and now make it available to more people shooting with it in the LA area.
I think we have to really think hard on a way to somehow judge or how to do. There's so many lenses now. Really, there's so many lenses. How to make it easier for our audience to judge the build quality, the optical performance. I think, of course, it's very challenging
to expand our lens database.
Maybe, but also that means, of course, that we need a bit more resources in terms of funds and people. But all in all, I think it's very confusing, because when you see names and when you see the variety, it doesn't matter if it's spherical or anamorphic, and you go like, what should I buy? It's almost like you will buy what is more exposed in social media.
It's only for rental.
Well, that's an example of those that you cannot buy. But I think you understand what I mean. That every second day there's a new lens coming up, and you go like, okay, what now?
Yeah, but I think, it's all kind of playing on the same thing. A lot of lenses that are now coming out are trying to make a vintage look, especially all the anamorphics, from lenses that are unattainable, that you can't actually buy anymore, or that are simply too expensive to buy or rent. And a lot of companies are kind of following that trend and kind of mimicking that look in a way. But these are actual, and then of course you have the actual vintage lenses that are really only available through rental. I guess in this case, they just wanted to make it available to more people because they were not available in any way to shoot with. But yeah, of course, it's very confusing, of course. Like our friend Markus Förderer, ASC, does a great job with his Cineflares database, where he's literally taking all the lenses he gets his hands on and running through his system just to show how they flare. But more than that, show what they look like. I think that's where this project comes from, actually. And because they actually need to be tested and they need to be shown the look of those lenses, because it's simply impossible to test all of those lenses if you're going after a specific look. So, yeah. Good. Let's move on to the last piece of news. Small piece of news, but the Blackmagic PYXIS 12K, which is now starting to ship. We mentioned in the beginning, Blackmagic put out a list of recommended CFexpress Type B cards. Now, what's interesting here, we just wanted to highlight this because it's really something that people should kind of take to heart if they are buying this camera or using this camera, because it is a 12K large format sensor. So it produces a lot of data, even though it's compressed RAW with Blackmagic RAW. But you need to really know what cards you can use and which cards will actually be able to sustain all the data rates. Because we've seen with Blackmagic cameras before, it can happen that you are shooting on a card for a very long time and then you switch to a specific frame rate or whatever, high speed, that you haven't used before, and suddenly you run into this limitation because the camera usually doesn't immediately tell you that it can't do all the speeds.
Yeah. Okay. So not to be confused, this camera is already shipping or it's not shipping, because that's what most of the people are asking us.
We were told it's starting to ship now, and I think we also got a notification that we'll get a loaner very soon. So the production models are coming out now. And don't forget that this sensor was originally in the Ursa Cine 12K. I think it can do some higher frame rates still, and you need this recording module for it. In this case, there's no recording module, so you're kind of stuck with, like a CFexpress Type B. And now just look at this list, and what's interesting about the list that not all of those CFexpress Type B cards are CFexpress Type 4. There's also a lot of Type 2 supported. What's very interesting is that specifically the OWC and WISE cards OWC and ProGrade digital cards are only the CFexpress Type 2 ones. Even though they have Type 4 cards, they are only listing the Type 2 cards for some reason. So they must have really tested all the cards available.
But we don't know. Maybe they didn't test those.
I don't know. But those are the only ones you can trust, according to Blackmagic Design. And it's not the obvious ones in all cases. I mean, the most cards that are supported from any one manufacturer are the Angelbird cards. Basically, most of their Type 2 and all of the Type 4 cards, I think, are supported.
No, because they also have the 2 terabyte.
The 2 terabyte is not there. Yeah, it's interesting.
4 terabyte. So
for some reason, not all of the cards are there. So just look at the list if you are waiting for your PYXIS 12K shipment. Yeah,
but this is something to ask the people at Blackmagic Design. For example, if you buy the 2 terabyte that kind of look identical in terms of specifications, if it will work or
well,
why?
Probably not. That's why it's not on a list. I mean,
I don't know.
I'm sure they ran through all the tests and saw some limitations at some point. So, yeah.
Okay.
All right. Last piece of not news, content that we talk about this week is a nice article by Masha on Quick Fix Everyday AI Masking Applications in Post-Production. So we recently, our latest course still on MZ is called The Efficient Filmmaker AI Video Masking for the Rest of Us. And it runs through video masking in Premiere, Final Cut Pro, DaVinci, and also After Effects. And even though Premiere doesn't really have proper video masking yet, but After Effects has the roto brush, which you can also use in Premiere somewhat. But especially DaVinci and Final Cut Pro have very, very powerful video masking, and we are running through them in this course. And Masha just did a nice write-up in explaining what you can achieve with those tools. And as a little bit of an insight, I think a lot of people are still not aware of how easy it is now becoming to really mask, especially subjects, humans in video, even though they are moving. So you can do selective color grading on either the background or the person or a subject, whatever, or remove logos that are, for example, here on a window. It's very easy to mask it now and get rid of this. And she's explaining exactly how, because you can really avoid rotoscoping. It's become very, very easy. So a lot more of that, of course, in our MZ course, and but also explained in this article. If you want to get started with this, I can really recommend that. And that's it for this week.
Good.
So thanks, Johnnie.
Thank you, Nino.
And thanks everybody for watching. Of course, get subscribed to all our major podcasting platforms, wherever you get your podcast, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever. Leave a comment on the YouTube video or email us at podcast@cined.com. And don't forget to send this podcast to a friend so more people can listen to us or hear us or see us. And hear you next week.
Bye.
Bye.